What does he want? Does he want to shoot? Yeah. I got it. Yeah. I think you want. What's your draft situation? Yeah, I've got all your own picks. Somebody else's.
Yeah, no.
You can't get it to all the Pacers this year because they didn't get it last year. Sorry, Steve. Another call coming in. You got it. And
Are you trying to get one?
Chris is gonna do the show.
Hang it for one.
The radio show.
100%. Who's that? There's got. Contract. They don't have. Yeah. Cool. You just gotta keep losing.
What are you sure? What did they get you?
I would take Scoot Harris too.
Yeah, I think
I don't know
that's
that.
like you're talking about the game.
He's been trying to.
I just 30.
Greg got it.
You get your stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks for a good day. Really cold before you.
We'll start with questions for the student athletes first, and then we'll turn it over to Coach Campy.
First question for Rocket. Rocket, you've kind of taken on an identity. You seem to be the game starter as of late. You come out 6 or 8 points within the first 1 or 2 media timeouts. Have you noticed that as well, or is that just the way the game's flowing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel like I just try to come in and approach the game with high energy. I feel like that comes with Coach Campy pushing us hard in practice, offensive and defensive end. So, yeah, I feel like I've been doing well. It's coming out and bringing energy for our team.
And
Can I
defensively,
interrupt that?
what's that?
I know I'm not supposed to talk,
Oh, yeah.
but I want to interrupt there because the thing that he's done at the beginning of games that he wasn't doing is his defense has been unbelievable. And while he might be jump starting us offensively, his defense has been top notch. And I will tell you, and he might get mad at me for saying this, his defense was awful for the first month. Standing, watching, trying to figure out what to do in the zone. My hope was that it wasn't that he's off on defense, that it was confusion. And he's proven that it was confusion because his defense is unbelievable right now. And it's the catalyst that everybody else is doing. Our defense in the last 4 games has been out of this world. And it's because of him starting it. So when you say he's jump starting, it's the defensive end that I'm proud of.
Well, and backing up to that, Rocket, I mean, they really struggled to get the ball inside the 3-point line. Like, forget about shots or anything like that. First 8 minutes of the basketball game, it was a struggle for them to get it into any kind of offense. That's got to make you guys feel good.
Yeah, for sure. We've been talking a lot on defense, and I feel like that's a big part of, them not getting the ball in the paint. So, yeah, it just comes with us just talking on defense and having communication.
Question for Chris. Your best friend got in some foul trouble here tonight, so you kind of stepped in and carried the mail for him, huh? Is that what it was like?
Yeah, just trying to help him out. That's my best friend. So going there and just whatever I can do to help the team, whether it's rebounding, which is the most important part, and just playing my part in the zone. And then offensively, just teammates were finding me. I was able to finish. So.
We've talked a lot obviously about your skill set offensively. How do you feel as though you're progressing defensively? Because Coach Campy's talked about it. I mean, you can see it over the course of the last 4 basketball games. This team is different defensively. How are you fitting into that?
It definitely has everything to do with the coaching staff and my teammates. It's just they're encouraging me and they're not getting frustrated with me. And when I make mistakes, they're just telling me next play. And so when that environment is kind of built in, it makes it easier to kind of progress and just get better.
Chris, following up on that, there's been a lot of conversation, in the past even season really just about your progression and everything, and now we're really starting to see it come in. You had a really big block today. I think I described it. It was a man block. Just, can you just talk about as you're getting more comfortable and we're really starting to see this progression that we've been talking about? Like, what's that feel like for you on the floor?
That's good. The biggest part is just consistency. As Coach says, stringing plays together. I feel like it's the most important part, especially defensively. So just continue to do that and not just have it be every so often, just stay consistent with it.
Well, what's that do for your confidence? Like when you're on the floor on a game like this and you can kind of feel that momentum's going your way, like you were in that zone and things were, being fed to you. Like, what's that do for you?
It definitely helps. I feel like the biggest thing for me is just remaining confident, both offensively and defensively. So, yeah.
And, real quick, sorry, for Rocket, you know, as you guys have been getting healthy, I know you were dealing with some foot stuff, obviously Jalen and everything. What's that doing for you guys as you can kind of start to become cohesive as a unit and just pulling this team together? Talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I feel like it done, a lot for us when me and Jalen healthy. Jalen our leader, he our point guard, so I feel like when he was out, we was kind of struggling a lot. I feel like since Jalen been back, everybody has came together, and we got to just continue with doing what we're doing and just coming to practice every day and practicing hard.
Rocket, Coach Campy's talked a lot before about transfers that have come in here and some of the greatest players that have ever played here for this program, that it's been a process where certainly your resume and everything like that. Do you feel like you're assimilating into it? Because it does seem to be a process, but you are looking very, very comfortable. Do you feel as though that you're progressing nicely in that?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm a lot comfortable, as I was when I first got here. I was kind of forcing everything, but now, everything has settled down for me. I'm just taking it, day by day and game by game. So we just got to keep, improving as a team.
Question from the chat. The band was very excited to see Chris playing today. And how did Chris and Coach feel after a game like that for you?
I just thought overall it was a good game. I feel like there were points in the game where just defensively we weren't playing great and offensively we weren't either. And it was kind of important that in those moments when they started to kind of climb back, that we were able to make shots, we were able to get stops. I just thought that was the best part about it.
I'm happy for him, but it's one game. I'll be a hell of a lot happier if he does it next Friday night.
Yeah. Speaking of next Friday night, you guys have a lot of this momentum going your way when playing at home. What's going to take for you guys to carry this into an away game against Northern Kentucky?
I feel like we just gotta, we gotta approach this game with high energy. We gotta watch film, key in on film, and personnel and things like that. And I feel like if we continue to do what we has been doing, is coming to practice and playing hard and listening to Coach Campy, then we'll be fine.
Well, like Coach said, we were kind of in the huddle afterwards. These two next two games are really important. Both these games, we haven't won at their place in a while. So I think the biggest thing is just having a really good week of practice and then starting the game out well.
Any further questions? Thank you, guys. We'll open the floor for Coach Campy for an opening statement.
You guys are good. You're good.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see ya. All right, Coach.
The first thing I want to say is that I'm a really old school guy, and this business is tough. It's tough enough, and I really had a hard time with us dunking at the end of the game. We don't do that, and I had to make a decision, pizza, and for all the fans. I just want to apologize to the Green Bay staff and the Green Bay players that I allowed that to happen. I'm glad that our fans got free pizza, but that's not who we are. We don't, game's over. We don't do that. But I allowed it to happen. So then it got worse because the guy that dunked stared down the guy, and that's just not what we're supposed to be about. So I apologize to anybody in the stands that wonders why that happened, and I apologize to their coach and to Green Bay. I just don't like that, but hey, it's free pizza, so. Okay. Questions?
Cam, as the zones progressed, and we talked about it, we saw something at Boise State, and we saw a little more of it against Michigan State. You always talk about how you angle towards conference play. Looks like we're seeing more now from the zone.
What was the question in there?
We saw something against Boise State, right, where we saw some progression and continue with.
Well, we had those 12 days.
Right.
And what we did is we had that glut of games at the beginning, and I've said that other press conferences, I think my pre-thoughts about this team coming in, and if you know me and you're around me and we talk about, my friends and people in the office, we talk about the team, what I thought we were going to be isn't anywhere close to what we are. And there were a lot of adjustments to make, and it was, well, could we just sit back and let it falter and try and, tweak, or do we go in there and do we completely restart over? And we completely started over. And as I said at the beginning, his confusion in the zone, I mean, if I put the Fort Wayne game on that we lost in overtime and you watched our defense in overtime versus what you saw tonight or Michigan State or that, it's two completely different teams. We made some adjustments in our slides for the level of talent that we have, which is what we're supposed to do. That's our job. And we found out where each guy should play defensively. We're rebounding better. We've spent hours and hours in practice on rebounding. And then on offense, we got rid of something that we were trying that wasn't working, and we went back to our base offense, and we're clearing the floor and letting people go. And I heard the Milwaukee coach say in his post game the other day, they just spread the floor and took us. And that's the type of players we have. So why aren't we doing that? Why weren't we doing that in November and December? That's on me. It was bad decisions and bad mistake of reading who we were. Now, I'll also pat myself on the back and say I'm smart enough to figure it out and get back to what we are and what those guys can do. And, you got to guard Keaton off the drip bounce. You got to guard Rocket off the bounce. You got to guard Jalen off the bounce. You got to guard Trey Thompson off the bounce, right? In my 45 years of coaching, and I've coached Sweet 16 teams at both 1 and 2 levels as an assistant, as a Division I coach. At Division II, we were a Sweet 16 team. I've got more rings than I have fingers. So obviously I've coached a lot of great teams. I have never in my life coached a team that had 4 guys that could guard the ball. Never have I had coached a team that had 4 guys out there that defensively can really guard the ball. My guess is that our opponents don't either. And we've got 4 guys that can just get to the rim. So we're going to find a weak spot, and we're going to get that guy to the rim. And we talked earlier in the year about playing at 90 possessions and scoring 90 points. Well, the last 2 games we played at 66 to 67 possessions, and we've scored over 80 points in both games because of efficiency. And that's what we're doing since we've gone to this, spread the floor and take it. Now we're not getting as many assists, and the stat people and the announcers like you, Neil, and people on the internet are going, they only had 9, they had 11 assists. Michigan State had 30 baskets and 26 assists, and Oakland had 30 baskets and 11 assists. It's just one-on-one ball. Well, you might be right, but that's what we're good at.
Well, speaking of that, Camp, Jalen Moore, since he's come back, he's 21 points per game.
It's healthy.
Yeah, assess. I mean, how healthy is he right now?
Well, I think he's going to milk it. I would milk it too if I were. But he's 100%. You know how you know? The speed that he goes at. How many times a night did he just bam and he's gone?
That little hesitation,
Yeah,
when he
and
does
then
at the
gone.
elbow.
Yeah, and then gone. And that's what he couldn't do. I mean, you didn't see that once until 2 days ago. And that 21 days off he had fixed it. And this is his last year. This was supposed to be his big year. And, he scored 32 in the exhibition game and got hurt. Since he's come back now, he's gone, if he'd have made, he missed 2 1-and-1s tonight. He only missed 2 free throws, but he makes most of those free throws. He's got 29, 30 points, and he's probably player of the week. We got 2 wins. He had 18 and 8 the other night. He's got 25 and 11 or 25 and 5 tonight. If that's 30 and 5, he's probably player of the week. Instead, he missed 2 free throws, and now I'm sure somebody else will be. That's how fickle this stuff is. But he's 100%, and I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. You go take any team in this country and take their great player and say he can't play for an extended period of time, or he's going to play hurt for an extended period of time. That team's not going to be anywhere near as good as they could be. I was stupid, right? I listened to him. I let him play. And he shouldn't have played. We should have sat him. The doctor said he needs 3 weeks off. But he can play. But for him to get 100%, he needs 3 weeks off. If I'd have done that at the beginning of November, we wouldn't be 4-11 right now. But that's my fault.
Last one for me, just about Chris Conway. We talk all the time about how skilled he is offensively. How big was that tonight for not only just for Chris, I'm talking for you guys, like as a coaching staff. If Trey does run into a bump in the road, because it's going to happen on the road at some point during the league season, he's going to get into some foul trouble. Does this help your confidence with Chris? You can plug him in there and get some minutes.
I want to see him do it again. And that's my message to him, and it's that way because I believe in him. I know he can do this. We see it every day in practice, but we also see Chris is, and I knew this when I recruited him, that's probably why we got him. He's a very laid back, Chris Conway, you would want him as your son. He's a student person. He comes from an unbelievable family. He lost his father tragically. His mother is an unbelievable person. His sister is a law student. I think she's at Illinois. He's a great student. They're just everything you would want, except that, hey, yeah, I want to be good. No, you don't, Chris, because you're not doing the things you need to do to become good. Yeah, I do. Okay. So I'm hard on him, man. I'm hard on him. And he's one of those kids that if it doesn't happen, he's going to not like me. And if it does happen, when he's 35, he's going to look back someday and say, man, I'm glad they were hard on me. So I'm going to stay hard on him because, you know what Jalen Moore told him at midcourt during that timeout? I can't use the words he used, but there was maybe an F word with you. If you play like that, you can be the best big in this league. If you will give us that. Now, we've told him that in practice, but this is the first time we've done it in a game. He did this in a game last year, but it was against an NAIA team, where he was nobody even close to him. So, yeah, I'm really happy that he's moving forward and doing this, but, we got a long way to go. And then the other thing I'll say, I said this to you after the game on the radio or TV or whatever. Big guys turn the corner as quickly as anybody there is. Keith Benson, I mean, if I could tell you stories about his first 2 years here, and you would wonder why he ever stayed. Okay. Brad Brechting is the latest guy. I mean, I can't tell you how frustrated everybody was with him. He was. And then one day we played Youngstown and he had 31 points and 18 rebounds. And the light went on, and Brad was a really good player for us for the next year and a half. And with those guys, sometimes it's when the light comes on and then they understand and realize. I'm hoping that those lights came on today. Because if we get that anywhere near that from him, what Jalen said is true. He could become the best big guy in the league. He also could become a guy that's only going to play 3 or 4 minutes. It's on him. It ain't on me. It's on him.
Just talking about health, can you get us an update on Lauren Bowman, on who's been out a couple games? Is it where we at?
It's just, this has been the craziest year. Blake Lampman today, finally healthy Thursday. And I'm sitting in the locker room waiting for the team to come in. He comes in all by himself and his head's down and he's got a blister. And another blister. I mean, 40 some years, and Rocket's the first guy I've ever had missed because of a blister. And he goes, I'm playing. So on the last time out, with 3 minutes to go in the game, I'm talking to him. I look down, he's got white shoes on, and there is a spot of blood in his shoe, this big. I mean, it's a mesh shoe, and it's just red. And I looked at him, I go, you all right? And he just gave me that. That's what he gave us tonight. But these things just keep piling up for us. And to answer your question, Lo got sick. Lo's a reclamation project. He's got a lot going on. So we got to get him, at the right physical stature. And he's missed a bunch of time because of being sick. Now he comes back. He's having his best practice of the year, the first practice back. And I mean, we did a 20-minute half inter-squad scrimmage, and he probably had 14 and was talking crap to everybody and making shots. And then with about a minute and a half to go in it, he just shut down and went and saw Chris, and something happened to his back. And he hadn't practiced, he hadn't done anything. I mean, he's got some, when you hurt your back, that's never good. And so I don't know if we'll see him again this year. I don't know if we'll see him next week. I'm not qualified to make those kind of decisions in that. If I was, he'd be playing today. I don't care how bad he was hurt, but they don't let me do that. That's on them.
All right, last one for me, because I know you are qualified for this. Who do you got in this football game today?
I'm gonna be really disappointed if Michigan, doesn't win today and have a chance to play for the national championship. Just, my dad might turn over in his grave if they lose today. So I'm hoping that my dad has a great day wherever he is. So I think Michigan's gonna win. I think they're gonna win going away, and I think they're gonna beat Georgia. You notice I said Georgia's gonna win. I don't wanna see that gray and scarlet crap in the next game, okay? And I say that because there's some kids in the back of this room that are big Ohio State fans. I grew up in Ohio, and my dad played football at Michigan. My dad played on the 47 national championship team. And every day that Michigan played Ohio State, we had a mailbox, and the mailbox had the win helmet on it. Whether Michigan won or Ohio State won, the next day we would come out and the mailbox would be run over. And my dad never said a word. He just went out there and reconstructed it, and it sat there for 365 days, and then it got run over again. I probably my neighbor did it. I don't know, but there's a lot of issues between Ohio State and Michigan in my family. So that's a long answer to that.
We expect nothing different.
Anything?
Nothing else?
All right. Happy New Year to all the Grizzlies out there. Did I miss anything? Kids Day?
No, have a healthy and happy new year, and thanks for all your support of Oakland basketball over the year.
Absolutely.
New Year's Eve, water, New Year's, yeah.